Don't be the passive husband, but don't be the passive dad either.
Amen.
Stand up and protect your kids. Get them out of a bad system if that's what's happening. Get them into the safest place they could possibly be, and that's with you and your wife at home, because no one loves your kids like you do.
As a shepherd, we are also there to protect our flock. And there's a very real enemy who is out to steal, kill, and destroy. And ultimately, our children are a prime target for destruction. One of the places we see that happening most often right now is in the schools. And so you and I both talked a little bit about our role as homeschooling father. You talked about the role of a father as principal and teacher. What does that look like?
Yeah, so just like not every man is a father, but you're a child of God. Mm-hmm. In this category right here, you may not be homeschooling, but you're still a principal and a teacher of your children. Mm-hmm. So, but if you are homeschooling, and as you said, I got a lot of skin in the homeschool game. I'm a proponent and advocate of home education. And with everything that's changing in our culture, I've become even more bold and loud in terms of challenging folks to really consider, is God calling you in that direction too? Because of what good it can do for your family in terms of, as you said, protecting your kids from the evils that are in place right now. Mm-hmm. And so as a dad, consider, how are you going to train your kids? And I'm going to ask a different question. Who is going to teach your kids? So Luke 6, verse 40 is the verse I'm going to leave with folks. And that is, your children will become like their teachers.
Right.
That's sobering. And as a homeschool parent, it's pretty sobering, because that kind of comes back to, am I a child of God that loves God? Because if I'm not, my kids are going to become just like me. And they're either not going to fall in love with God or love a very small God. So it kind of comes back to that very first point we made about, as dads, we've got to love God because our kids are going to become like us. So that's the first thing they're going to see. They're going to see dad living out his life. And by example, they're going to become very much like you, emulating, do they see dad reading the Bible? Do they see dad saying prayers for them, with them? Are they earnest? Are they, during discipline times, is dad angry or is he gentle? Is he really trying to teach and protect me and guard my heart? And so just starting in those general places as a teacher and a principal to, I think you said the right word, to protect your children from the false teachings, from the outright lies, from the evil that's all around kids in the government school systems, in culture at large. There's so much that we've got to be paying attention to. We can't be asleep at the wheel. And when we see danger in front of our kids, don't be the passive husband, but don't be the passive dad either.
Amen.
Stand up and protect your kids. Get them out of a bad system if that's what's happening. Get them into the safest place they could possibly be, and that's with you and your wife at home, because no one loves your kids like you do. Nobody cares about the well-being of your kids any more than you do. And a question I always like to ask folks, who was your favorite teacher growing up? And most people can answer that question. For me, it was Miss Helmsley in second grade. Mm-hmm. But then I ask a follow-up question. How many Christmas cards did I ever give or receive from Miss Helmsley? 0. And yet she was my favorite teacher?
Right.
So when you homeschool, when you have your family at home, not only do you get those 15,000 extra hours with your kids, like you said, which is actually this huge bonus. Don't view it as, oh, we're never going to survive being together. Look at that as, this is great. I get all that extra time with my kids, but at the same time, you're going to become your kid's favorite teacher, and you're going to share Christmas cards. You're going to share holidays together. You're going to share life well after they've left the nest because of the bonds that you made and the investment that you made in your kids. And you don't even have to do it all perfectly, But as you said, you didn't just spend quality time, you spent quantity time, and there's nothing that can replace that. And the last thing I'll say there is, my kids are 33 to 20 right now. They've all left the nest, and everybody always hears that it goes by quickly when they're young. And I knew that as I was in the trenches, as we were raising the kids, and I thoroughly enjoyed being a dad. I loved it. I loved being a grandparent. But there's so many times that I just sit back and reflect and think, my kids are grown up. I do not have that back. I had, roughly 18 years with each kid, and thank goodness, by the grace of God, we went down the homeschool path because that was not our plan, and we got 15,000 extra hours with our kids that we would have not had, and we made the most of it, did our best to do it intentionally and not squander those precious moments. Because they did, whether they went by slow or fast, they went by, and they're gone now, and I can't get them back. So if you're a dad in the trenches right now with young ones, school-age kids, my encouragement to you is be intentional. Make the most of this moment, for the days are evil. So use this to the max. Bring them home, train them diligently, train them intentionally, love on them, let them explore God's creation, and you're going to find that your paradigms are shifted and you start thinking in a whole new way. And in a sense, the light bulb turns on and you realize, wow, I'm so glad we started this journey. It's the best thing that ever happened to our family.
This episode of Rapid Response was brought to you by CTC Math. Visit them at ctcmath.com today.